And we are rolling here. Hello. Okay, this is Ralph with Temple of the Infinite, and just want to talk a little bit about how to become a gratitude magnet. It's interesting because what we focus on mentally will grow in our life, and there's a simple reason for this. It's that our life is composed not just of past, present, and future, but our life is composed of present moments. That moment right now, right in the here and now, that it's the building block of everything that we are. This present moment. The past used to exist. It was. It has an influence over us. We can magnify that influence. We can decrease that influence if we want to, and the future is not yet. The future is yet to be. So all we have is the present moment, the right now, the here and now. And what we focus on in this present moment, that is the energy that we draw into our life. That is the energy that we use to build our day-to-day lives with. And so if we choose to focus on gratitude, then that is what we will build in our life, is a life of things to be grateful for. If we focus on negativity, if we focus on the past and our past hurts, our past disappointments, then yeah, that energy is what we're going to bring into our present moment, and that is the energy that we will be using either consciously or unconsciously to build our day-to-day life with. So, yeah, think to yourself, which is better, to be building with negative energy or to be building with positive energy? And yeah, the energy that we choose to use, it's totally up to us. And yeah, do we build using the energy of gratitude, the energy of thankfulness, or do we allow the energy of hatred, the energy of anger, things like that to be our predominant energy that we use to build our daily lives with? And so, if we can focus more on gratitude, if we can focus more on the energy of thankfulness, the energy of positivity, the energy of abundance, we can use that to build a better life for ourselves. So that kind of raises the question, doesn't it? How do we become more focused on gratitude? How can we become a gratitude magnet and be able to attract that positive energy of thanksgiving and gratitude into our life rather than the energy of anger and hatred and disappointment? And it really comes down to becoming a choice, a conscious choice that most of us make subconsciously or unconsciously. It's like people will see someone walking down the street, and immediately you'll start to think of the ways in which that person hurt you in the past. And without even thinking, those thoughts will just resurface and just come to the top. Uh, when you feel stuff like that happen, whether it be watching somebody walking down the street and having an overwhelming feeling of negativity, or something that you pick up, like the smartphone, constantly overheating, constantly shutting down during live streams, constantly just stopping and restarting endlessly, stopping and restarting because it's overheated. I could go on and on and on about the negative attributes of this smartphone. I just saw it there. All that energy came right back. Yeah, constantly disappointing me. You're worthless. But you see what I did? I focused on that negative energy. I allowed that negative energy to come to the forefront. And now I'm using it consciously to make a point. I could make a choice. I could see this same smartphone and I could think, you know what? It's got its flaws, it's got its lack, but you know, I've done a lot of things with this smartphone. I've made a lot of successful live streams with this smartphone. With this smartphone, I have learned that I can use this tiny little $30 instrument in much the same way that I use my laptop computer. I have learned that I can do a lot on this simple smartphone that I used to use a desktop computer phone for, and not computer phone, but desktop computer for. And I can take the smartphone with me anywhere. And although it does have its limitations, although it does have a tendency to uh, overheat and then stop and restart continuously if I don't know how to treat it, I have discovered that I can delete files from this phone. I can clear up space on this phone that actually makes it work a whole lot better than what it would otherwise. And with this phone, I've done TikTok videos, I've done YouTube shorts, endless YouTube shorts using this thing. I've done a lot. And for that, I am grateful. And so, yes, whether we are triggered to negative thinking and yelling and screaming and just negative thoughts, or if we can train ourselves to become triggered in a positive way and just think of all the good things that we've done with this instrument, or think of the good qualities that we've learned from maybe a family member or a neighbor that is just constantly bombarding us with negativity. You know, we can choose to consciously either look at the negative or try to flip the script and look for the positive that that person has taught us, some of the positive lessons we have learned from these negative people. One of my favorite gurus, really, he's not living right now, at least not in the body, but Guru Dattatreya. And he was once asked, "What guru taught you?" And sometimes he would answer, "Well, God is my guru, the Atman, the Great Spirit is my guru, and I've learned all my valuable lessons from this Great Spirit." But he had another teaching in which he would talk about, I believe it was 12 or 24. No, I think it was 24 different gurus in this earthly life that that he learned from. And he had a beautiful meditation. And you can find this online. I don't know the exact address or search term to use, but yeah, Guru Dattatreya 24 gurus. You might get some hits using that search term. But he had a beautiful meditation in which he would say, he would mention something, either something humble or something just downright profane. And he would say, "This was my guru. And this is what my guru taught me." And he would have gurus like a small child. And this is what I learned from this small child. Another one of his gurus was a prostitute. You know, a lot of people don't have very positive things to say about prostitutes or dancing girls or people that are in the sex industry. They tend to get demonized in our society. But Guru Dattatreya said, "Okay, this is what I learned from this prostitute, this dancer." And yeah, she was my guru. Another was a bug, a beetle, a spider, you know. Another was a merchant. Another was a virgin. Another was, you know, a socialite. And he had all kinds of different gurus, some of which most people would look at in a very negative light. And he would say, "No, this person taught me something positive about myself, about life. And I count this person, I honor this person or this thing as one of my 24 gurus." And reading that meditation, reading that answer that Dattatreya gave to the question of who are your gurus, who is your guru, it humbled me because I tend to be like most people. Whenever I see somebody that the world deems to be kind of lowly, kind of demonic, shall we say, a bad, evil person, I tend to view that person in a less favorable light. But there are good things that we can learn from everyone. And we can learn positive lessons from everything that happens to us in this life if we just open up our mind, open up our heart to the possibility that everyone, everything, and every circumstance has the power to teach us something positive if we only allow it. Wayne Dyer once was asked who was one of the most positive teachers in your life, and when Wayne Dyer answered, my father. And he said, my father left me before I was even born. He left my mother, he left me. I grew up without a father because my earthly father abandoned me. But you know what that experience taught me? Taught me to be, the man of the house, taught me to be more self-reliant, more independent. He said that my father was one of the greatest teachers that I had in my life. He taught me so much: independence, self-reliance. And you know what? I never met the man, but he counted his father, his biological father. It's one of the key teachers in his life. So yeah, you can take any experience, good or bad, because really if it's good, bad, negative, positive, that's really just a judgment call on our own part, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people say that energy is energy. And to a certain point, I agree with that. Whether we deem it as positive energy or negative energy, energy is energy. It depends on how we choose to use it, depends on how we choose to feel about it. And I mean, you can see a street walker walking down the street and you can look down your nose and just demonize that person. Or you can think, what positive attributes does that person have? Confidence, going out there and doing what needs to be done to raise a family, even if the only thing that person can think of is something that most people would just consider to be dirty, disgusting, and just downright demeaning. This person is doing what he or she needs to do in order to create a life for himself, herself, their family, their dependents. And I mean, yeah, you can make a choice. Are you going to see the positive in something? Are you going to see the negative in something? If someone has stolen from you, if someone has slandered you throughout the neighborhood, if someone has just kicked you to the curb and tossed you out with yesterday's garbage, like yesterday's garbage, do you choose to focus on the negativity and just say, that dirty so and so, you have done so much harm to me, you have done so much damage to me, how dare you? Or do you decide to flip the script and just think, okay, yeah, this person's been nasty to me. Yes, this person betrayed me. Yes, this person disowned me. But what positive things has that taught me? Hasn't that taught me how to be more free and independent of that person? Hasn't this taught me to become more self-reliant? Hasn't this taught me how to see the good in life, even though there's been a lot of negativity? Hasn't this taught me to be searching for the good in life and to empower the good rather than empowering the darkness? And it's a choice that we can all make. We can see a person who has harmed us. We can see a person who has wronged us, perhaps very deeply so. And we can choose to focus on that hurt, focus on that negativity, and just bring that right back to the present and never give it a rest. I mean, some people are trapped in just a perpetual negative thinking loop. They see someone or something that they're angry with or angry about, or someone that's harmed them, and it just gets them going in circular thinking. It's just a constant negative thinking loop. And they think they're trapped there. They're trapped in that loop. And then all of a sudden some clown comes on to YouTube and says, "You have a choice. You can stay stuck in that negative thinking loop, or you can focus on the good. You can find some lesson that you learned, something that you have to be grateful for, and you can break out of that loop." And then all of a sudden, people that are caught in that negative thinking loop, it stops. And they think, "You're right. I can choose to feel grateful. I can choose to bring positive energy into my life." And then they break out of that negative thinking loop. And then maybe they can start getting into a more of a positive thinking loop. You know, what things do I have that I can be grateful for? What are some of the positive things that these negative experiences has taught me? How can I become a more positive person in my life? And really, it's all about making choices. When you see something that triggers you, you can focus on that negativity, or you can just try to think of positive things that that experience has taught you, or the positive things that that person has taught you. Or if it's a person that is just caught in a storm of really sick negative thinking, you can learn to look upon that person with sympathy and with mercy and just think, wow, they are caught in a negative thinking mind trap. They don't even know it. They can't see a way out. And isn't this person more to be, what is the proper word really, pitied than to be hated? And you can think, what a shame. That person is stuck in a negative thinking loop. And rather than allowing that negative energy to be thrown at us and stick to us, we can learn to just shield ourselves from it and just say, isn't that a shame? I wish, isn't there something somebody could do to maybe help this person break out of their negative thinking addiction? And then you might even start to think, how can I bring some positive energy into this person's life and maybe help them break out of their negative thinking loop or their negative thinking addiction? So, really, the possibilities are endless. In the beginning, when you first try to flip the script and try to see the positive in all the negative in life, it's hard. Sometimes you really, really, really have to dig for something good to think about another person. I heard a story when I was growing up in high school seminary, and one of our teachers was telling us about trying to find the positive in every situation. And they told the story of this one teacher, and they were having a meeting, a teacher's meeting. They were talking about this one problem student, just a real problem child, did everything wrong, was always just the bad kid with a lot of bad wiring in his head. And the teachers were talking about this one problem student, and one teacher after another, they were telling about all the negative things that this student did and the problems they were having with this student. And then they got down to this last teacher. And this last teacher had a reputation for seeing the good in everyone, seeing the good in every situation. A real Wayne Dyer type of thinker. And he was probably a student of Wayne Dyer's, at one point in time. But yeah, they got to this one teacher and they knew, okay, this teacher was going to try to find something positive to say about this negative student, this problem student. And when it got to that teacher's turn to speak, that teacher was quiet. And he was quiet for several awkward minutes. And then finally he said, "Well, there's one good thing I can say about Johnny. He is a fantastic swimmer." And that was it. And my teacher that I had, who was also my spiritual advisor back in high school seminary, told our class that story. And it just said, no matter how difficult the situation, no matter how negative people are to you, if you really stop and think and try to focus on the positive, you can find something positive to say about a situation, about a person, even if it is seemingly reaching for straws and just saying, you know what? He was a good swimmer. You know what? He was an excellent speaker. You know what? He's got a tremendous singing voice, doesn't he? You can find something to say that's good about almost anyone or anything in life. It is a choice. And we are all a mixed bag of some attributes we have, some people are going to look upon as blessings and talents and just wonderful things. Other attributes that we have, some people are going to find fault with, they're going to pick at, they're going to find flaws. Some things in our life may just absolutely be disgusting to certain people and to certain organizations. And we are all just a mixed bag of good and bad, negative and positive. And what we choose to focus on in our daily life, in our present moment, what we choose to focus on, we empower and we allow to grow more strongly in our life. So once we learn that we can shift our mindset, once we learn that we can flip the script, once we learn that we can see positive things in things that previously only enraged us and triggered us in negative ways, once we learn that we are all good and bad just mixed together, then we can learn to become more patient with other people. Mahatma Gandhi, this is not an exact quote, but he once said words to the effect, he was asked, how can you be so patient with people and the seemingly demonic things that they do to you and the good people of India? And Gandhi said, you know what? I've learned to be patient with these people because I've learned to see the demons in my own heart. And once you see the demons that are living in your own heart, you learn to be a lot more patient with the demons in your outer world, because you realize we all have these demons living in our own heart. And some people just haven't learned how to control those inner demons. But once you learn how to master those negative energies, those inner demons living in your heart, once you learn to master and control those demons, gives you a lot of power in your outer world. Who was it? Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad once said, he who conquers another is strong, but he who conquers himself is invincible. Again, not an exact quote, just from memory, but yeah, it shows that we have a lot of power. And when we choose to focus on the positive, when we choose to bring positive energy forth into our present moment life, right now, right here, then we realize, we have the power to change. We do have the power to bring more positive energy into our life. If we focus on gratitude, we can bring more gratitude and more positive energy into our life. And then we can use that energy to build a better present, to build a better future. Because the present, what we call the present, it's just a series of present moments that just pass before our eyes, oftentimes without our awareness. But when we learn to become aware of the present moment, we see the power that that moment has. And we choose to cultivate the power of positive things, of gratitude, of love, of thanksgiving, that kind of awareness, then we can harness that positive energy and we can use it to build a more positive life. Or we can focus on the negative, at least the things that most people tend to classify as negative: hatred, anger, envy, jealousy, hurt, pain, painful memories, painful experiences. And we can focus on that painful energy and we just hang on to it like a person hanging on to a hot burning coal and then wonder why we are hurting so much. It's like if you're holding a hot coal in your hand and you're wondering why your hand is burning, why it is so painful, drop that coal and put your hand in some ice water or some just average room temperature water, and you'll begin to immediately understand, why we bring hurt into our life, because we hang on to it. We choose to hang on to it. And if we choose to let that stuff go and instead focus on the positive things that we have learned, we can grow so much more positive energy in our lives just by choice, just by choice. So yeah, that's the presentation for tonight, how to become a gratitude magnet. Really just acknowledge that you have a choice. Most people go through life, they think that they're fated. They don't have a choice in anything. But you know what? Our choices may be limited sometimes, but we do have a choice, if only in how we choose to perceive things. Instead of seeing a person that's done you harm, learn to see a person that's taught you something about yourself, about the energy, the strength that you have within, and then show gratitude for having learned that lesson, no matter how difficult it may have been. And just focus on that positive energy of thanksgiving and gratitude. And eventually, like negative thinking, positive thinking can become a habit. Most people are locked in the habit of negative thinking. Well, we can break out of that and learn to build a more constructive habit of positive thinking. And then once you learn to harness that positive energy, your outer life will begin to change. Just have to break through bad habits, learn to cultivate new, more positive ones. That goes with the habits that you do habitually, in the outer world through your actions. It also goes for the habits of thought that we all have. And a lot of people don't recognize that they have habits of thought. But, once you've learned to settle your mind down, go within, do a little bit of mindfulness meditation, then yeah, you can begin to see those habits of thought, both negative and positive. And then you can begin to understand you have the power to dismiss those negative habits of thought and replace them with positive habits of thought. And that goes for every habit that you have. You can choose to continue going along with it, letting the habit become stronger until it becomes more of an addiction than a habit. Or you can break that habit, replace it with something better, and decide to move forward in your life in a more empowered, positive way. Know that you have choices, and then choose to focus on the positive. Choose to focus on the things that you have that you can feel grateful for. And then let that energy of gratitude inform the universe that you are ready for more good things to come, and see what begins to develop in your life. That's all for now. Thanks for dropping by. This is Ralph signing out. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you have to be grateful for today? And just try to develop the habit of being a more grateful person. Develop the habit of seeing positive things in life. But yeah, let me know, what do you have to be grateful for in your life? Till later, this is Ralph signing out. Thanks for dropping by, and God bless. So long.